Hey guys, recently I've been learning how the Babel compiler works and how to write a Babel plugin. Then a cool idea comes to my mind. What if we had an option that could specify what the element should look like? Then an AI tool could convert our descriptions into actual CSS code. Obviously, it's not a practical way to style an element, but it's gonna be fun, I guess. It's gonna be fun to write a Babel plugin that actually do that for us. So for this video, first of all, we need basic knowledge about Babel and how does it work, and how to config Babel for a JS project. It's not very hard. Let me to explain a basic thing about Babel. Babel compiles or transpile our code through three stages: parse, transform, and generate. The first stage, it turns your code into a tree called AST, that stands for Abstraction Syntax Tree. Uh, Let me show you what it looks like. Maybe in this way it's gonna be more and easy to understand what actually is. I'm gonna use astexplorer.net. It's a website. You can put any sort of JavaScript code and see the tree that represents your code and actually transpile into AST. Uh, I I just put a simple program definition of variable here, const foo equaled var. So at the right section, a three part, it has changed, and you can see the declaration part. And if I hover over those parts, you can see the parts of your code. The its identifier that has type identifier that and name is foo, and initialization part that type literal and has value equal to var. So yeah, if I put any sort of JavaScript code, you can see the result, and you can use the AST Explorer to just figure out of what is going on in your tree version of your code. And next stage is transform. At this stage, you can modify the nodes, the whole part here, and transform into another version of AST that you want. Actually, every Babel plugins and preset you used, mostly they do that for you actually. And the next part, the generate. Finally, the new version of AST that is gonna be transpiled into the you know the output in actually JavaScript code. It's gonna be ECMAScript version of like 6 or higher, or maybe lower. It depends on your Babel plugin and Babel configurations. So yeah, that's it. Let's try write our first Babel plugin. I've already prepared a starter project that you can get with the GitHub link in the description below. So let me open it, and I'm gonna change my branch and check out to starter branch. So if you look at the folder structure here, you can see main.js file and transpile and source files are here, and the main.js file is our Babel plugin scripts. It's gonna be there, and transpile it just use Babel core and transform a file into an output with these configs. I'm gonna use presets for React, and also I'm gonna use the AI CSS Babel plugin that's actually it's ours, and write a full file for of our output to into client directory. So I'm gonna use this simple program, and I'm gonna replace with this defaults. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna change this bar string to a number during the transform stage. So if I go back to main file, you can see it's just a simple function that it just simply returns an object, and in this object we can see visitor property. And what is the visitor? In transform stage, uh, actually Babel traverse through all the nodes, and if you want to see and manipulate every node, you can just use simply a type of you want to change. In this scenario, I'm gonna change the bar, so I need to achieve or see the literal here. So if I put literal here and use the console log, you can see here is the thing. Pass, it represents all the nodes. If you want to see that actually the type you write in the visitor, you should use other property that's it's that node. It's a property node. So if I try to transpile my source file, you can see the node that type is a string literal, and it represents all the information about this node, and value is bar. So I can use other property here of pass, and it's replace with, and I can actually replace with anything, but here's the thing: you should replace a node with another node. You cannot do that with I cannot do just like this. Uh, do with a string or numbers. Uh, so I need a factory function or something that returns a node of AST. You can use Babel types from here. So I'm gonna use that from the Babel. So it's another module that a Babel core includes. So you can use utilities and everything that's inside the Babel types. And here I'm gonna use numeric literal here and put my any number here. So if I run it again, and yeah, so okay, that issue occurs because we actually need to skip after replacing this, because it's gonna be do that over and over through the whole tree. And so yeah, and if I run it again and see the result, and yeah, foo equals the 4, and yeah, and the bar variable value is changed to 4. So that's it. It's actually it's our first Babel plugin. Let's do the last part here. I'm gonna check out everything, and if I open entry file, you can see we have a function that's actually is our component that's use AI CSS, and for defining the style, and pass this variable to class name attribute here. And if I put this code here and click on this part, I can see variable declarator has this initialization that is call expression, and it has callee and name. So I'm looking for this inside the visitor. So I'm gonna put variable declarator here like this, and I'm gonna use a condition to find out we are inside the right variable declarator or not. So I'm going to write this like this: path.node and init and type, maybe, yeah, type. It should be call expression or pass that's node init and callie name should be AI CSS. And if I put a console like here and run this function, yeah, it cannot read properties of undefined reading name. Okay, name is optional, so okay, pass it no. Okay, we can see variable declarator that has call expression, that call is identifier name is AI CSS. I'm gonna change these conditions to not there be like this and return if they are not the variable for defining styles. The other thing I'm gonna do, actually I'm gonna hold descriptions, and I mean these uh, descriptions to somewhere to hold, and after the transform stage I'm gonna do the API call and use ChatGPT API and to just making CSS file. So um, inside the Babel plugins you can also use another property that called a method called pre, and it's gonna called every time before the visitor and before the transform stage. So I'm gonna uh, put something like cache here variable and use map, JavaScript map here, and for the key of those cache I'm gonna use this variable names and also call name as identifier names. So I'm gonna write another variable identifier name, and it should be pass.node and id and name, id name. And also I need to generate a class name that belongs to this identifier. So I'm gonna use short id library, and I'm gonna import it here, short id and class name variable. So I'm gonna use bit prefix here like AI and call it here. So okay, the other thing actually we need this description actually inside the call expression, and I need to find this, and actually it inside the template literal type. And if I looking outside the variable declarator, I'm gonna stuck to lexical and block scopes, and maybe I'm gonna messed up with those scopes and not finding those template literal, because template literal can be uh, anywhere else. So in this case you can actually use pass you actually can traverse inside the visitors with another method that you can use of past, and it's called actually traverse. So I'm gonna use traverse here, and for this one I'm looking for template literal that is here, and I'm gonna use another function here. So pass, I'm gonna pass this argument here, and I'm gonna look for quasi template, quasi and value. So yeah, quasi is a array, and I should check this if it has inside has the anything inside it or not. Pass that node that quasi uh, size, and maybe okay, yeah, that's true. Pass, and also I need to check out if it has anything inside it or not, and define description here, and also I need to take that description from inside the template literal. Yeah, template literal, the first one, and value, and yeah, value is object, and row. Okay, so if I put another console like here and generate again, yeah, description is an element with good contrast of light blue. So that's it. Okay, so we have description, identifier names, and class name. So other things we can actually do that use this dot cache, and so it's a cache, and set this one to cache every information that we need later, class name and description. So the other thing, the first step, actually we need to if I open the output, you can see inside the component, you can see the AI CSS actually exist, but I don't want it. I don't want after this transform and this template literal do the thing. I don't want it, so I can simply use pass remove. So if I remove it and run the transpile again, you can see actually it deleted. So that's it. The first step actually we done it. So other thing we need to use we need to find these identifiers inside the JSX expression containers or JSX attributes, and find those identifier and replace with their class names. So I need another visitor here, JSX attributes. So like this, and I'm gonna iterate over this cache, and like this for h, and inside those elements inside the cache, I'm gonna use pass.traverse again to find the identifiers inside the JSX attributes. So I'm gonna use traverse again, and yeah, traverse and identifier with capital AI. So, and also we need pass. So I'm gonna use another condition here, that it's be this dot cache. I'm gonna check if there's exist that identifier inside the cache or not. Cache has pass node and the name, yeah, name. So if it exists inside the cache, that means I can find the class name here and replace with you know with any identifier that actually we have here. So I'm gonna I'm gonna just use pass dot replace, that we already get familiar with this, and use a string literal here. So a string literal from Babel types and use the class name. So I'm gonna find out the thing here, this that cache, that's get pass not name, and give it to this just like that. So if I okay, when we need to change this class this style to class name that we generated before. So if I run it again, yeah, you can. Okay, we have a problem here. T, the string literal T is not defined. Okay, that makes sense because we don't have it yet. Types. Okay. And if I look at this again, yeah, okay, we have AI dash this ID. So we actually have done most of the thing that we need, and the other thing we need, actually we need to remove another thing. We need to remove the this import here, because we don't need it anymore. So I can use another thing, and if I put any import expression to the, like, here, I can see that type is import declaration, so I can use it inside the visitor and pass. And I'm gonna check that if this includes AI CSS inside the, um, maybe, okay, inside the source or not. Yeah, source value includes AI CSS or not. If it has, it's gonna remove like this, pass dot remove. Okay, I'm gonna put another condition here, pass the node and source and value here, and if includes AI CSS, it should be removed. Pass dot remove. Okay. If I run it again, we have transby source. Yeah, it's just vanished from here. So the last part, we need to generate a class. We need to generate a styles and generate a file like style.css by passing those descriptions to ChatGPT API. So we have pre method, and we also have another method that's called post. So uh, I need to do that here because the here things, the whatever we are doing here is not best practice for writing a Babel plugin, because Babel plugins are, totally synchronous, but what we are doing here is not a synchronous task. So I'm gonna do that after the transformation. So yeah, but it still is not a very convenient, and as I said before, it's not the practical way to style an element. So just let me to do that, and build the files. So I'm gonna uh, use another function and write this here, function like build um, css files css file, and take the cache, and yeah, I'm gonna call it here build css file, this is cache. Okay, and I'm gonna iterate over the cache and descriptions. So just I actually already prepared another module here that's inside the helpers, that is use face API to just calling a ChatGPT API and give the style, and I just write down something like give me just a CSS, not any further explanation. So ChatGPT is gonna give me just a CSS code inside the raw string files. So I'm gonna import it here, this CSS get, and get CSS maybe, yeah, get CSS module here from, okay, require helper, no, source, inside the source helpers, and get CSS. So I'm gonna use it here, but first of all, we need something else, and like and a string that is gonna hold whole styles, and another async function like this to iterate and also be a synchronous job and doing asynchronous jobs, like turns descriptions to CSS. So I'm gonna wait for something like promise O, and I'm gonna change the this cache to array or something like this, cache, and use map to iterate over them, and also it should be async function, and I'm gonna use something like key value, and yeah, okay. The other thing I can do here, style, and await for API call, API ChatGPT API actually. Okay, get CSS here, and value description, and also I give it the class name to the ChatGPT API. So after that, after taking the style here, I'm gonna change this styles variable here, but something simply like this. backslash n to get a new line, and the style that actually OpenAPI gave to me. So okay, if I and after that also I need to turn those things to a CSS file. So I'm gonna call it and use a dot then here to make sure every descriptions has called before, so I can remove it from here, and I can use it like this, and I need to import fs from here. Okay, I need put this here, and I can use fs write file sync, and I can give a pass for it, client, and a style as CSS and styles. Okay, if I run it again, I can actually I cannot do that with this command, because actually I'm using fetch inside the node, and I need to do that in another way, like this node with experimental fetch option. So I'm gonna run this script of my package.json actually, and if I do that here, you can see it call it, and now I have a CSS file. So that's it. Actually, we already done it, and if I use the example of my main branch from here, and I can simply just paste it here. So if I run it again, actually it's gonna be more different than now. So yeah, now we have two other class name here, and also we have a class and a style for body, because I described I need to those things be center from every aspects. And if you look at this, they their class name is different, and if I can just like use mpx serve from client, I can we can see that the result actually the result that we done it. Okay, nothing shows why. Okay, target is not there, target is app. Okay, I can change it from here maybe. Okay, and here it is. Yeah, that's the element that's styled by ChatGPT and Babel plugin. Yeah, if I open it again, you can see we have two styles here, and another thing actually I just I found out, I almost forgot about that to explain. AI CSS function, it's actually doing nothing, and I put this thing here just because I need to query queries here. I need to some like this, I need to find the AI CSS call expressions here from here, and it was more convenient than put something like just a template, a string, and inside it for some sort of symbols to find a variable declarator that has the AI CSS descriptions. So yeah, I need it just for this reason. Yeah, that's it, and I hope it was uh helpful for you guys. And yeah, that's it.